you see our stepladder head-to-head matches. 183 to 172 in the first, 212, 167 in the second, and Schlegel getting into the finals with the 187 to 168 victory. Now, this man who continues to practice, only 22 years old, youngest in the field and terrific. Earlier, we asked him about his treatments that he's been receiving this week on his wrist.
Well, in Las Vegas, as everybody knows, I had wrist problems. I started having wrist problems again this week on Thursday, and I've heard a lot about this AccuScope everybody on tour has been talking about. What it is, it's a computer that picks out dead tissue cells, and then it recharges them to their normal tissue size. And when I had that done, it took away all my pain, and it helped me get to the #1 spot.
Here comes the handshake now for the championship here. Pete Weber against Ernie Schlegel. In our booth, there is parental pride. His name, Dick Weber. Oh, by the way, Juanita back in St. Louis has something to do with this. Dick's son, Pete, is in the final.
Well, yeah, she's back in St. Louis, and she's nervous as I am, Chris. She said she didn't want to have a heart attack on national TV, so that's why she didn't come this time.
All right. Your son's opponent is Ernie Schlegel, colorful Ernie Schlegel. And that, Dick, you used to do that, put that opening frame pressure on your opponents.
Well, that's true, Chris. And, you know, this Ernie Schlegel is an underrated bowler. He's quite a competitor out there. He's a very tough bowler. He's very knowledgeable of the lanes, and a good man to bowl against. I'm glad Pete's bowling against him. Of course, I hope Pete wins naturally, too.
Dick, did you give Peter any advice in coming out in this game to try to start fast, go to power? What should you do the first few frames?
Bo, I just told him, I said, shoot your game that you've been shooting all week. And he says, Dad, I have 15 boards to the right. He said, I feel real good.
Oh, that relieved a little pressure, didn't it, Dad?
Yes, getting that break always helps. Naturally, as Bo knows, you need that break where the pin comes around and knocks the 10 pin out for you. So any breaks you can get is advantageous for the individual.
What an ominous start, though, because as you see the sore wrist of Pete Weber with the ball breaking that late, Dick, it looks like trouble for a power player, though.
I agree with you, Bo. I think, personally, if I was down there instructing Pete, I think I'd have him speed up a little bit more, because the action of the ball, the way the ball makes the left turn, you have so many boards to cover that it's very difficult.
They say you get one good break in every game, especially in a victory. Pete's already had two. He knocked out the 10-pin to avoid the 2-8-10 split. Then he barely taps the 8-pin there. A little shaky start, but it's all even after one frame. And I agree with you, Dick. When the lanes do not favor the cranker hook-type bowlers, when the ball goes too far down the lane and breaks very late. Let's see what Pete does. He needs to speed up and move to the right.
All right. Second frame. That's the Pete Weber that's the leading money winner. The only one to win 2 this year, a high average. And Dick Weber has always had a watchful eye on Pete, who here is age 4. Seems like only yesterday, Richard.
It is yesterday, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Pete, by the way, bowled his first 300 game at the age of 12. Probably, in fact, I don't know anybody's ever bowled one younger than that, Peter.
I don't know myself either, Bo, but, you know, when he first bowled his first game in adult leagues, he was 300, so we're quite proud of that.
Schlegel, who has a strike in the first frame, now shooting in the second, earned the right to go against Pete Weber. With a victory over Sajak.
Schlegel has jumped to the outside line, Chris. We saw him struggling to carry, kept the ball in play against Sajak, but he's gambling against Weber, knowing he needs a bigger score. His move to the extreme outside line on both lanes.
Let's see that hit again.
What a good break. He sends the 2-pin, the 3rd pin on the left-hand part of your screen, to the sideboard, and it jumps right between the 4-7 for what all the pros like, the trip 4. If they can carry that hit, they always can carry the light hit, and they're in the driver's seat.
Good sign of a rolling ball.
And a good line to the pocket.
A double for Schlegel, 3rd frame. Pete looking away. And then back to reality. 4, 6, 7, 10.
The foot The footwork is so important in the game of bowling, and here you see Schlegel speed up, and then he hits right in the 1-2-3 zone, leaving the 4-7 and the 6-10. It's his prerogative which one he wants to go for to save count, but he can't afford to go for it and lose count. He needs to just knock down 2 pins. That's a bad move right there, Chris. It'll come back to haunt him, because 1 equals 2 when you're on a double.
Okay. So Kathy Schlegel realizing the situation. So does Pete Weber. He has a strike up, and now he'll be shooting in the 3rd frame.
Pete showing some boxing experience here at 22 years old. That big break given him by Schlegel. Pete knows this is the time to jump on it. A 20-pin lead in the 2nd frame is as good as 20-pin lead in the 10th frame.
Yeah, baby.
4-pin, the man that won in Las Vegas and Miami.
What a great touch he has going, Dick.
Well, Father would still increase the speed slightly, a little bit more. You get the ball went over the thumb all that time, but which is a good sign he's getting that thumb out quick.
Okay, fine spare. I've always liked Pete's form. And many years ago, in fact, 18 years ago, this was his form in Hawaii, joining his dad out there. And look at this. Look at that form.
Check the foul line.
Check the channel.
That's his 3rd on national television. He had 1 in Vegas for a lot of money. He had 1 in New York, and then 1 in Honolulu at age 4. Here's the man leading 10 pins, 4th frame. $1 million at stake for Pete Weber if he can win here. $20,000 at stake for Ernie Schlegel.
Yeah, baby. Oh, man.
Leaving the 3-6-10.
All the players struggling here. After 3 games, we have a 181 average as Dee Dee looks on, the expected mother for a 2nd child in August. The high game of the day is only 212 by Sajak, the only 200 of the day. Surprisingly low scores, but then again, it is match play competition.
Well, leaving the 6-10, trailing now by 5. Schlegel, who leads it by 5 after an open frame by Weber, 4th frame. Leaving a 10-pin. Schlegel usually takes a lot of time, a lot of twitches, a lot of fidgeting around, and this, with all the pressure, the lights and everything, Nelson is taking even longer.
Agreed, Chris. And sometime that's been his downfall, as you see, as a career championship round under 500, 18 and 23. Simple spare for Ernie here. We've had 15 open frames, so almost an unbelievable total here. Look at this.
Just got it. 15 open frames.
The record we saw in the performance down at the Quaker State Open 1984, 17 open frames, and we had a banner field there too, with Roth in that field, Del Ballard in that field. Strong players. Hugh Miller eventually won the tournament, the only lefty in the field there. We have no lefties today, as both players are going back and forth. 5-pin difference, 5th frame.
13 open frames in Miami when Pete Weber won the first Lite Beer title. Trying for another one today. And probably stuck just a little bit, ran into something checking the sole of his shoe and wisely stopped.
2nd frame, or 2nd step, he dragged his left heel, and sometimes players perspire down there, or even rosin gets on the settee area. And I remember Jim Winklepleck had his rosin down in that area during the first match, and sometimes you step into it. Theoretically, his opponent should have had him take it out of that area. Let's see how it affects Ernie Schlegel.
Didn't pull that one.
Ernie Schlegel, one of the veteran match play players, has done a lot at Paramus in New Jersey. Would he slow down for psychological reasons, Nelson, against an opponent?
Sometimes you know how an opponent likes to play. Pete Weber is neither fast nor slow, as you see our official scorekeeper, Harry Golden, knocking in the score.